What if I told you that the most sought-after treasure in human history was never gold? That the legends of turning lead into a precious metal were a veil, a deliberate cipher designed to protect a truth so transformative it was deemed too powerful for the uninitiated? Imagine an art, a sacred science that holds the key not to metallic wealth, but to the transmutation of the very soul. An art that sees the common, heavy state of human consciousness filled with fear, ignorance, and limitation as a base metal, a piece of lead, and it provides a precise, repeatable process to refine that lead into the radiant, incorruptible gold of enlightenment, of true spiritual freedom. This is the hidden truth of alchemy, the magnum opus or the great work. For centuries, its practitioners were dismissed as charlatans or mystics, lost in delusion. But in secret, from the dusty libraries of Alexandria to the hidden laboratories of Renaissance Europe, the true alchemists were not working with crucibles and chemicals. They were working with the elements of the human psyche. In this journey into the shadows of history, we will pull back that veil. We will decode the cryptic language of the Emerald Tablet, understand the true meaning of the Philosopher's Stone, and walk through the three sacred stages of transformation: the blackening, the whitening, and the reddening. This is more than a history lesson. It is an initiation, for the principles of this ancient art are as potent today as they were thousands of years ago, and the laboratory is within you. To understand the great work, we must journey back to its legendary birthplace, the swirling cultural crucible of Hellenistic Egypt. In the city of Alexandria, a place where worlds collided, the logic of Greek philosophy met the ancient temple mysteries of Egypt and the esoteric currents flowing from the east. It was here that a figure of legend emerged, a teacher known as Hermes Trismegistus, or Hermes the Thrice Great. He was seen as a fusion of the Greek messenger god Hermes and the Egyptian god of wisdom Thoth. The teachings attributed to him, known as the Hermetic tradition, form the philosophical bedrock of all Western esotericism, and alchemy is its most vital practice. From this tradition comes a single, cryptic text that has haunted the minds of mystics for millennia: the Emerald Tablet. Though only a few short paragraphs long, its axioms are the keys to the entire art. Its most famous proclamation: that which is below corresponds to that which is above, and that which is above corresponds to that which is below, is the master formula. It means the universe, the macrocosm, is not separate from you, the microcosm. The same laws, patterns, and energies that govern the stars and galaxies also govern the inner landscape of your consciousness. To know the universe, you must know yourself. To change yourself, you must work in harmony with the laws of the universe. This is not a metaphor. It is the central operating principle of reality. This sacred knowledge did not remain locked in Egypt. As empires rose and fell, it journeyed through the sands of time, finding its next great custodians in the scholars of the Islamic Golden Age. Thinkers like Jabir ibn Hayyan, known to the West as Geber, meticulously preserved, translated, and expanded upon the Hermetic texts. They were brilliant experimentalists, pioneers of the scientific method, yet they never lost sight of the spiritual core. They understood that the laboratory was a mirror for the soul. The purification of metals was symbolic of the purification of the spirit, and every reaction in the flask corresponded to a reaction within the alchemist himself. From the Arab world, this wisdom re-entered Europe, igniting the minds of the Middle Ages and sparking the intellectual fires of the Renaissance. Here, it cross-pollinated with Jewish Kabbalah, Christian mysticism, and the secret brotherhoods of the Rosicrucians. Figures like Paracelsus championed a new vision of alchemy focused on healing, arguing that the true purpose of the art was to create potent remedies to restore balance to the body, which he saw as a microcosm of the balanced cosmos. But this flowering of wisdom came with great risk. The Church viewed such teachings, which placed the power of salvation and divinity within the individual, as profound heresy. Thus, the veil of secrecy became a shield, The language of chemistry became a code, allowing the science of the soul to be practiced and passed down right under the noses of its persecutors, hidden in plain sight. At the heart of the alchemical process lies a substance of profound mystery, known as the prima materia, or first matter. To the uninitiated, this was believed to be a common, worthless substance, perhaps dust or dew, from which gold could be made. The spiritual alchemist, however, understood the truth. The prima materia is you. It is the raw, chaotic, unexamined state of your own consciousness. It is the sum total of your fears, your traumas, your inherited beliefs, your unconscious drives, and the rigid structures of your ego. It is the heavy lead of your ordinary self. It is a formless darkness, yet it contains everything. Like a block of uncut marble, it holds the potential for a masterpiece, but this potential is hidden, unrealized. The very first, and often most difficult, step of the great work is to acknowledge this raw material within you. It requires turning your gaze inward with unflinching honesty, to face the chaos you have spent a lifetime ignoring. Within this prima materia, the alchemists identified three essential, archetypal forces that govern all of manifest reality, and therefore govern you. They called them sulfur, mercury, and salt. These are not the chemical elements you find in a laboratory. They are philosophical principles, the trinity of existence. First is sulfur. Do not think of a yellow rock. Think of the heart of a star. Sulfur is the principle of the soul. It is the fiery, expansive, masculine force within you. It is your will, your desire, your passion, your divine spark of individuality. It is the active, dynamic energy that seeks to impress its pattern upon the world. In its pure form, sulfur is conscious, focused intention. But in the unrefined prima materia, sulfur is our volatile, untamed ego. It is our burning ambition, our destructive rage, our selfish pride. It is the fire that can either illuminate or incinerate, and for most, it burns without direction. Next is mercury. Do not think of a liquid metal. Think of the vital breath of the cosmos. Mercury is the principle of the spirit. It is the fluid, receptive, feminine force that connects all things. It is the very medium of consciousness, the messenger that flows between the fiery soul, sulfur, and the fixed body, salt. It is your mind, your imagination, your intellect. It is the water that reflects the light of the fire. In its pure form, mercury is clear, reflective, and serene, a perfectly still lake reflecting the heavens. But in the unrefined psyche, mercury is our anxiety, our racing thoughts, our delusions and distractions. It is the chaotic monkey mind that leaps from thought to thought, creating waves that distort the truth and preventing us from ever seeing a clear reflection of ourselves. Finally, there is salt. Do not think of the crystals on your table. Think of the structure of a diamond, the very principle of form and manifestation. Salt is the principle of the body. It is the grounding, stabilizing force that gives structure and density to the energies of sulfur and mercury. It is the vessel, a physical form that contains the alchemical experiment. On a psychological level, salt represents our crystallized beliefs, our ingrained habits, and our personal dogmas. In its pure form, salt provides stability, wisdom, and the power to make the immaterial real. But in its unrefined state, salt is inertia. It is resistance to change, rigid thinking, and the dead weight of the past that keeps us locked in repeating patterns, unable to evolve. The initial stage of the great work, therefore, is the purification of these three principles. One must tame the fire of sulfur, still the waters of mercury, and dissolve the rigid blockages of salt. Only then can the true work begin. The great work unfolds within a very specific vessel, the athanor, the alchemical furnace. But this furnace is not made of brick and clay. The athanor is your body, your life, the container for your consciousness. And the fire that drives the transformation is not a physical flame. It is the secret fire of disciplined attention, the gentle, constant heat of awareness applied to your own inner processes. It is the friction of life itself, consciously endured. If the heat is too low, nothing happens. If it is too high, if you are too aggressive or forceful, the vessel shatters, leading to a spiritual or psychological crisis. The art lies in regulating this sacred flame with patience and wisdom. Once the prima materia is placed within the Athenor, the first stage begins. It is called the nigredo, the blackening. This is the stage of dissolution, of putrefaction. As the gentle heat is applied, everything that you believe yourself to be begins to break down. The old, rigid structures of salt dissolve. The volatile, egoic fire of sulfur is choked. The chaotic waters of mercury turn dark and cloudy. This is a terrifying, disorienting process. It is a confrontation with your shadow, the repository of all the aspects of yourself you have denied, repressed, and rejected. It is the dark night of the soul. You feel lost, abandoned, as if you are dying, and in a way, you are. The false, constructed self must die and decompose in this blackness, so that its core components can be purified. Most people flee from the nigredo, distracting themselves at all costs. The alchemist, however, remains. They endure the darkness, knowing that only from the blackest earth can the purest lily grow. From the ashes of this death, the second stage arises, the albedo, the whitening. After the chaos of the nigredo has run its course, a profound calm descends. The black matter is washed again, and again by the now clarified waters of mercury. Having faced your own darkness, your mind becomes still and luminous. The inner storm ceases. This stage is symbolized by the moon, by the dawn, by a white dove. It represents a state of illumination, of spiritual clarity and newfound innocence. The duality between you and your shadow collapses. You are no longer ruled by unconscious compulsions. You have cleansed the mirror of your spirit, and for the first time, you can see a true reflection of your soul, a gentle, steady inner light. This is a state of profound peace, but it is not the end of the work. The soul has been purified, but it has not yet been empowered and reunited with the body. The final glorious stage is the rubedo, the reddening. Here, the heat of the Athenor is carefully increased. The purified soul of the albedo, often symbolized as the White Queen, is reunited with the purified, conscious will of sulfur, the Red King. This is the coniunctio, the sacred chemical wedding. This union of the purified masculine and feminine principles within the prepared vessel of the body gives birth to a new being, a divine child. This child is the legendary philosopher's stone. The matter in the flask glows with a triumphant ruby red. This is the color of the sun, of life, of sovereignty. The stone is not an object. It is you, reborn. It is the attainment of a stable, integrated, enlightened consciousness. You are no longer just a human being having a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being living a perfected human life, capable of acting in the world with divine will and wisdom. You have turned your own lead into gold. You have heard the theory, the history, and the philosophy. But the great work is not a subject to be studied. It is a life to be lived. The ancient alchemists insisted that this art is for the children of knowledge, not for the merely curious. So, how do you, in this modern age, begin to practice this sacred science? Your laboratory is your daily life. Your chemicals are your thoughts and emotions. Let us forge the keys. The first key corresponds to the nigredo. To begin the blackening, you must practice radical self-inquiry and shadow work. Take up a journal, your alchemical diary. Every day, create a space to be utterly alone and brutally honest with yourself. This is the Athenor. Apply the gentle heat of awareness by asking the hard questions. What am I actively avoiding in my life? What trait in other people provokes the most intense irritation in me? This irritation is almost always a signpost pointing to a disowned part of yourself. What are my deepest fears? What painful memories do I refuse to look at? Write it all down without judgment. Your goal is not to solve these problems, but simply to drag them from the darkness of your unconscious into the light of your awareness. This is the dissolution of the old self. The primary obstacle here is your own resistance. Your ego will scream at you to stop, to look away. Your discipline in returning to the page, day after day, is the single most important factor. You must have the courage to sit in the fire. The second key opens the door to the albedo. To achieve the whitening, you must wash the ashes of the nigredo with a clear mind. The primary technique here is meditation. This is the art of purifying the principle of Mercury. Commit to a daily practice of stillness. Sit, close your eyes, and focus on your breath. Your mind will rage. This is the chaotic Mercury you are trying to tame. Do not fight it. Simply observe the thoughts as they arise and pass, like clouds in the sky. Each time you notice you are lost in thought, gently, without criticism, return your focus to your breath. Each return is an act of purification. This practice slowly builds a space between you, the silent observer, and the noise of your mind. You begin to realize you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind them. This is the dawning light of the albedo, the emergence of the inner witness, a state of serene, untroubled clarity. The third key unlocks the rubedo, the final reddening and the creation of the stone. This practice is one of conscious, integrated action. Having found the inner peace of the albedo, you must not remain in passive bliss. You must reunite your purified soul with your conscious will or sulfur. Ask yourself, from this new place of clarity, what is my purpose? How can I act in the world with integrity and love? This is the sacred marriage. It means bringing your inner state into outer expression. It is making your work, your relationships, and your daily routines a reflection of your deepest, most authentic self. The rubedo is not a retreat from the world. It is a masterful engagement with it. You take the inner gold you have created, your wisdom, your compassion, your peace, and you use it. You become a living philosopher's stone, an agent of transmutation not just for yourself, but for everyone you encounter. The challenge is to trust this new self and to act from this integrated center, even when the world tempts you back into old, fragmented patterns. We have journeyed deep into the heart of a hidden tradition, pulling back the veil on an art deliberately misunderstood for centuries. We have learned that the true alchemist's laboratory is the self. The lead is our own unrefined consciousness, and the gold is the radiant, integrated state of an awakened soul. The great work is not a myth. It is a map that guides you through the darkness of your own inner chaos in the nigredo, into the luminous clarity of self-realization in the albedo, and finally, to the empowered, divine expression of the rubedo. The principles of sulfur, mercury, and salt are not archaic concepts. They are the living energies that animate you at this very moment. Your will, your mind, and your body are the trinity you must bring into balance. This is the perennial task of humanity, the most noble pursuit a person can undertake. It is the path of turning suffering into wisdom, confusion into clarity, and fragmentation into wholeness. The philosopher's stone is not an artifact to be found in a forgotten tomb. It is a state of being to be forged in the fire of your own conscious awareness. So, the ultimate question remains: where are you in your own great work? Do you feel the call to begin, to face the prima materia within you? Reflect on what you've learned. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. If you are ready to continue walking this path and wish to delve deeper into the sacred sciences of the soul, subscribe to the Serpent Scroll. We are a community of seekers dedicated to unrolling the ancient wisdom that leads to true transformation. Click the like button if this message resonated with you, and share your thoughts in the comments below. The work may be personal, but we do not have to walk the path alone. Until next time, may your work be true